Hi guys, welcome to another video by LaunchPad Education. In this video, we are going to discuss the US-China trade war, another very important current affair that is in newspapers almost every day. This topic is very important if you are preparing for UPSC, IS, PCS exams, State Public Service Commission exams, government exams, banking exams, or any other competitive exam that requires you to have knowledge of current affairs. This video is presented by LaunchPad Education. You can visit the channel for more such informative videos on current affairs. We have started a series explained simply in which we are going to make all the economic current affairs very easy for you. So now coming to the point and starting with the discussion, the US-China trade war or the US-China tariff war, it is one and the same thing. We will see what is in the news, what is appearing almost every day in the newspapers, what is being discussed on the news channels, understanding the current affair first of all. So world's two largest economies, that is US and China. US is the largest economy of the world, almost $20 trillion economy. China is the second largest economy, it is near about $13 trillion economy. So these two largest economies of the world, they have started a trade war in which what they do is they impose tariffs on one another's good. What is tariff? We will understand this as well today. What is a tariff war? We will understand this as well in the further slides. So why? That is a question. Why is US and China engaged in a tariff war, in a trade war? So basically Donald Trump administration, that is President of United States Donald Trump, his government in America, they started accusing China of unfair trading practices. What do you mean by unfair trading practices? There are certain rules according to which every country does trade with each other globally, right? Global rules which are mostly regulated by World Trade Organization. So China is accused by America and Donald Trump, to be precise, that they engage themselves in unfair trading practices. For example, they provide a lot of subsidies to their manufacturers, so that reduces the cost of production for the Chinese products. And as a result, Chinese products, they become over competitive than they can be as compared to products of other countries, including America. So that is one reason that Donald Trump says that China is engaging in unfair trading practices. Another accusation leveled by America is that China is also doing intellectual property theft. What is intellectual property? Any work of creativity or any innovation. For example, when a lot of Indians, we use pirated windows in our computers, right? We watch pirated movies, Hollywood movies. These are very small examples of intellectual property theft. We are not using the original things. We are using the pirated things, right? So these were some reasons. There were certain political reasons as well, but obviously Donald Trump publicly accused China of these things. Now, in return, what is the perception in China? Why has China engaged in this tariff war against US? When America started the tariff war, that is started imposing tariffs on Chinese products, obviously China is going to react. That is one thing. Now, China thinks that US is trying to curb its rise. So China, I told you, is the second largest economy of the world. America is the largest economy of the world, the most powerful country of the world. So China thinks because we are becoming powerful, so America is doing everything politically, economically to stop or to prevent the rise of China. Right? So that is what the perception is there in China. So share markets, as a result of US-China tariff war, they are facing a lot of volatility. What is volatility? That means uncertainty. So one day share markets, they are going very high, second day they are going very low. So this is volatility, and this is not very healthy for the investors, for the economy, for the share markets, right? This is happening globally. So when US and China, the two powerful countries, the most powerful countries, the two most powerful economies, they are engaged in a tariff war, all the countries doing trade with them, they are going to get impacted, and consequently the global economy is going to get impacted negatively, right? So as a result of that, investors are not very confident about share markets, which are facing a lot of volatility. Apart from US China trade war, there is another thing that is going on in global economy, which is Brexit. Brexit means that Britain is going to exit European Union. So what will be the impact on Europe's economy, and what will be the impact of uh, Brexit on the economy of the countries which are doing trade with Britain, Europe? For example, India's economy can also get impacted. So Brexit, US-China trade war, these are some major global incidents which might affect the global economy negatively. Right? So this is in the news. Now starting with some basic concepts. What is a tariff? Tariff is a tax imposed by a country on imports. Very simple. That is what a tariff means. Now, why would we impose tariffs? We would impose tariffs or taxes on the imports coming from other countries to make them expensive, and as a consequence reduce their demand in the domestic economy. So if India is imposing tariffs on Chinese products, we are trying to make them expensive so that the demand of the Chinese products that comes down. But Indian customers, they will be paying for that product more if the taxes are increased, right? So they are getting the same product at a higher price. So if India is not able to manufacture the same product, that will lead to a negative consequence on Indians. Now, this tariff, it might be imposed for various reasons like protecting domestic industry. This is an economic reason. There can be political reason as well. For example, I told you there is some truth to this perception that China has, that America is trying to stop the growth of China. So this is a political reason, right? So this is a tariff. What is a tariff war? What is a trade war? What is a custom war? If you are reading newspapers, if you are following any current affairs, you will repeatedly hear these words. It is one and the same thing. Now this is a situation, a trade war, it is a situation in which countries, they try to damage each other's trade and economy by imposing tariffs on the goods imported from the other country. So if China is the manufacturing hub of the world, that means China is producing a lot of things that are being exported to other countries from China. So how can other countries damage China? They can damage by imposing tariffs. That is what America and Donald Trump administration is attempting to do. Now, who benefits out of trade war? We'll see if anyone benefits. First of all, you need to focus that we are calling it a trade war or a tariff war. It is a war going on between two countries. So one country hits the other country, second country will hit back. So it is a war that will start. But in the short term, we will see who is going to benefit. What is Donald Trump trying to do? What is America trying to do? Domestic industry is the first one which is going to be benefited. For example, India is having a lot of tariffs on Harley Davidson bikes. Harley Davidson bikes are not manufactured in India, they are coming from America. So India is imposing a lot of tariffs on Harley Davidson bikes. Why? To protect India's automobile industry. Otherwise, Harley Davidson will be very cheap and people are going to not buy the bikes coming from other countries, Harley Davidson, and not choose the bikes which are being manufactured in India by Indian companies. Right? But do you think that is a fair thing to do? Why aren't we telling our domestic companies, for example, Hero MotoCorp, TVS, why can't we make them efficient? Why can't we help them grow technologically? Why can't they produce such beautiful bikes as Harley Davidson is doing in the same cost? So there is a negative impact of protectionism as well. What is protectionism? When we are trying to protect our domestic industry from a better competitor by just imposing tariffs, right? So it is harmful. Protectionism is harmful in the long run as it kills efficiency, progress and technological advances. So domestic manufacturers are going to relax. They are not going to take much headache. If they are facing competition from a better competitor, they are going to improve, right? So protectionism is going to snatch the opportunity of Indian domestic consumers to get a better product. So some industries might benefit, but overall economy suffers as the other countries involved will retaliate to counter the negative impact. So taking the example of America and China now, America imposed tariffs on Chinese steel and aluminium. So American industries, some industries, so American steel and aluminium industries are going to be benefited because they were producing expensive steel and aluminium, and China was able to export the same steel, the same aluminium at a cheaper price, right? So now aluminium and steel industries in America are going to benefit, but overall economy will suffer. Number one, the customers in America, they will have to pay more for the products which are being manufactured using aluminium and steel. They are going to pay the same, they are going to pay more price for the same product, right? Just because tariffs have been imposed and they are not able to get the products manufactured by using the cheaper steel and aluminium, right? So economy suffers. This is number one way. Second is, now China is also going to retaliate, that is reply, hit back to American products. So if America is exporting almonds to China, China can also impose a tariff on these almonds. So another industry is going to be negatively impacted. So this is what happens in a tariff war. Everyone starts getting a reply if they are hitting another country. Now, who benefits? We have seen that. Who loses? Consumers in the domestic market or the importing market. The same example that we have just understood. So when the domestic consumers, they have to pay more, they are the losers. If the commodity involved is something like steel, aluminium, refrigerators, etc., it will harm the common man. Now common people, they cannot refrain, or they cannot just stop using all the products which are being manufactured using steel, aluminium, or certain household goods, for example refrigerators. Now if they are getting expensive only as a result of tariff and the domestic industry is being protected, so they are going to be the losers. It will also lower the overall demand by reducing the purchasing power of the consumer. Now, as consumers, they are paying more for the same products, they are going to have lesser money left with them, right? Your salaries are the same. We are assuming this. The economic principle is that your salaries remain same. You are paying more for certain products and you are paying more taxes. So your purchasing power will reduce because you will have lesser money left with you. It will reduce the economic activity, lesser products will be purchased. In that economy, domestic products will also be, lower in demand, because people are not having enough money now because they are paying more for some basic necessities. It is going to reduce economic activity, trade, manufacturing, and the domestic industry in the longer term. As a result, there will be a slowdown and there will be job losses. So the industries which are going to suffer as a result of lower trade, lower manufacturing, lower economic activity, these industries will see job losses. Who loses? The exporting industry. Obviously, when tariffs are being imposed, so steel and aluminium manufacturers and exporters in China and almond exporters in America, they are going to be the losers. The exporting industry, they lose. What else is a loser? Multilateralism. What is multilateralism? The idea of countries coming together to pursue common goals. For example, World Trade Organization, it is an international organization that is regulating international trade. Now, when multilateralism gets weakened, when countries start making their own individual policies, for example, America is doing presently, they are not consulting all the countries of the world on how trade should be done. They are just unilaterally or individually imposing tariffs on other countries. They have also done certain negative things against Indian products, European products, products coming to America from Turkey. So they are not consulting all the countries of the world. So this is a negative thing for the weaker countries especially. Why? The powerful countries are going to make the rules for everybody. But in a multilateral organization, for example, a World Trade Organization, all the weaker countries will have a better say. They will have a voice, they will have a platform where they can raise their demands, right? So that is why multilateralism, it gets weakened, and the weaker countries, the poorer countries, the underdeveloped countries, developing countries, they suffer. Trade wars, they are generally disruptive for global multilateral institutions like WTO. Now, when everyone starts making their own policies, there will be no use of WTO. Everyone will be fighting with each other. So this is a very harmful thing for the international multilateral institutions, for example, World Trade Organization, right? The countries, they act unilaterally. That means they are not consulting anyone. They are working only to fulfill the self-interest, the interest of their own country. So the slogan that Donald Trump gives is make America great again. So they will care only about America and not about the global economy. So that is what he's trying to do. So self-interest become a priority at the cost of other countries. Now this is analysis what we have just discussed. What is the impact for the importing country? That is, you can take the example of America. For the importing country, what is the impact? Expensive goods and services. Second is reduced purchasing power. Aggregate demand also reduces. Aggregate demand means the overall demand of the economy we have just discussed. People are going to have lesser money left because they are paying more for the same products. So their purchasing power will reduce, their aggregate demand will reduce. Domestic industry becomes less efficient due to less competition. This was also happening in India before 1991 economic liberalization or privatization and globalization. So before economic reforms, Indian governments were also trying to do the same thing. They were trying to protect the domestic industry by increasing tariffs on goods coming from other countries. So domestic industry, it becomes less efficient due to less competition. So you can remember the public sector undertakings, for example BSNL, the public roadways, all these were very inefficient because there was no competition. There is lesser economic activity in the economy. For the exporting country, there are lesser exports, there is lesser economic activity as a result, and there will be job losses. So global trade, it reduces. No one is benefiting. That is what happens in a war. So this is the next question: who wins a trade war? As in a war, trade war has no clear winners. In a war, a country might have 100 soldiers killed and they can kill 200 soldiers of the other country, but everyone is losing. So this is what happens in trade war as well. That is why we call it a war. So in a trade war as well, it has no clear winners. It has a negative impact on all parties involved, what we have just seen in the previous slide. As per some economists, the economy exporting more between the two is at a larger harm. Very simply, America and China are fighting this trade war against each other. Who is a larger exporter to the other? China. China is exporting more than America is exporting to China. Right? So, as per some economists, they say that the country that is exporting more between the two is going to be at a larger loss. In the long run, trade volume reduces and both lose. In the long run, no one is going to win a trade war. There are certain very recent updates on US-China trade wars or tariff wars. That is, US also wants China to buy more goods to reduce the trade deficit. See this. I just told you that China is exporting more products to America than America is exporting to China. So this is their trade deficit in the favor of China. $419 billion is the trade deficit between China and America. And this is in the favor of China. On 1st of October, that is the coming 1st October, US is planning to raise an existing 25% tariff on some Chinese products to 30%. So the trade war, it is only escalating, which is not a good news even for Indian economy. Washington or US then plans to deliver a wave of new tariffs on Chinese goods. These are some goods which have been announced on 15th of December. So on 1st of October, America is planning to increase this rate of tariff. On 15th of December, more products will be brought under this tariff war, and after this 15th of December, all Chinese goods imported to US will be subject to tariffs. So there will be nothing left that is coming from China to America which is free of tariff. Now China also plans something, which is to hit another 3,000 American products with tariffs by the end of the year. China has targeted goods manufactured in Republican states strategically. Why is that? Because Donald Trump, he belongs to the Republican Party. So this is what China is doing. This is a political battle as well, not only an economic battle. US is trying to stop the growth of Chinese economy, and in return China has started targeting Donald Trump's party. So wherever Republican states are there, they are imposing tariffs on goods which are produced in Republican states, so that the voter base of Donald Trump, that suffers and they start getting against Donald Trump. Now coming to the global impact of this US-China tariff war, IMF has said something, that is US-China trade tension has contributed to a significantly weakened global expansion last year. So the growth rate of the world has reduced because of the US-China trade tension. Some countries may also be indirectly impacted. Now those who are the trading partners of US and China, for example, India is a very big trading partner of both these countries. They will also get negatively impacted, and our Make in India plan, that is we wanted to manufacture a lot of products for the world, that might suffer because as US economy suffers, as Chinese economy suffers, both these economies are going to purchase or import lesser products from India. That is going to be a dampener, that is going to be a negative thing for our Make in India plans. Now, globally, is there anyone who is gaining? The answer is yes. Manufacturers in countries who are not engaged in trade war, for example, the companies which are manufacturing products in Vietnam, Bangladesh, India, they are having an opportunity to take the American markets or the Chinese markets because they are imposing tariffs on each other's products. So India can start selling something to America which was being sent by China and which is now expensive because America has imposed tariff. A recent survey says that 40% of the respondents are considering, these respondents, they are the manufacturers, what they are considering is shifting or have already relocated their Chinese manufacturing facilities to Southeast Asia. So companies are moving out of China as a result of this tariff war because companies are not sure how long these two countries are going to fight each other. So they won't suffer continuously for so many months. They are already suffering and they are going to other bordering countries. They are going to Vietnam. So these economies are benefiting. So have we ever seen any such tariff war in the past? So this is an example from the history that America imposed similar tariffs last time in 20s and early 30s, and as a result global trade reduced by 66%. This is attributed as one of the reasons of the Great Depression 1929. There was a Great Depression in the global economy that started from America. One of the reasons is said to be this increased tariffs that were being imposed by American economy, American government before this depression happened. Recent good news came 2 days back. This was that China just waived import tariffs on more than a dozen US goods. US has not done anything positive until now. So China has started, reducing this war, or they have started showing the white flag, which is the proverbial white flag when you are supposed to end a war. So China has started the uh, first good positive step to end this war. It's the first time Beijing has issued such exemptions since the US China trade war began. So this is the most recent news. We have seen what tariffs are, what tariff wars are. We have seen the impact on importing countries, exporting countries, manufacturers, consumers, and a lot of things. So this video, if it helped you, please like this video, please leave your comment, give your valuable feedback, share this video with your friends, and you can subscribe this channel. As I already told you, we are doing a series explained simply, important current economic issues. So if you find the business page or the economic current affairs very difficult, I promise this is going to help you a lot. For now, this was the lecture. Thank you very much for watching.